Welcome to Sabres Postgame, presented by Northtown Lexus.
In a shootout, a losing streak is put aside. Buffalo back into the win column, defeating the Capitals for the first time this year, and hopefully for the first of a couple of times this month, as Washington will come in before March is done. Welcome in. Let me be the first to say, alongside Marty Biron, and I've been consistent in this message, I love the shootout, and the fans absolutely ate up the last 10 minutes in this building here tonight.
It's almost like if you want to make the fans excited about the shootout, go to a 10-man shootout. Because the first three, everybody's kind of like, okay, it's the shootout.
Right.
Then when it becomes a one-man and you win,
and you start picking guys for the first time.
Well, no, it's the excitement of the shot that you're facing right now is on the line.
Yeah.
Right? So a save by Ullmark is the win, and the fans get up on their feet. So, yes, I think when you're at home, you're watching on TV, you may not get the sense that the excitement in the building is the same, but every fan in here loved that shootout, maybe because you saw a fantastic move by Dahlin. Absolutely love the confidence, the poise to go half clapper and then shoot it right away.
Just like an old 26 used to do.
Eric Bolton, you're talking about?
26,
no,
man.
No, that was 36. I remember 26 because Bolton was 26 in the Island. But the reason why I'm saying that is because Eric Bolton used to always say, here comes the tapper. And he would do the tapper and then shoot it.
Yeah.
He could never score on it. Vanek was way better.
Yeah.
And now the new 26.
I've also been lobbying for Dahlin to be in the shootout from the moment he arrived as a Sabre. He's so poised, so confident, and that for a shootout debut was made. Anyway, the whole game. Look, this thing had everything. By the way, as you're sitting there thinking, how did they let this slip away? Washington entered play tonight with 9 come-from-behind wins in the third period, tied for first with Dallas, so they were that close to getting their league-leading 10th. It's not easy to put the Capitals away. Linus Ullmark and company found a way to hang in and do it.
And why are the Capitals, Washington, so good in coming back in games? And why are they so good on the road? Because they score a ton of goals.
Yes.
They have the offense that if it hasn't clicked in the first or second period, it's bound to click at some point in the game. So we saw Ovechkin just going for it on the offensive side of it. So Backstrom, we saw so many Washington players wanting to get involved in the action because they know they can score and they know they're going to push other teams down on their heels. It's not so much the Sabres playing on their heels. It's a lot of what Washington was doing to put the Sabres on their heels in that third period.
Yeah, and obviously there was an awful lot happening beyond the game getting tied and the controversial moment, if you will, based on how the fans were reacting, and I'm sure viewers at home too, when Jeff Skinner was called for interference on the goaltender, negating what would have been a Brandon Montour potential game winner with 1.5 minutes to go.
That one is sketchy for me, and obviously you're looking at this goal. Braden Olby comes out as Skinner is being pushed into the goaltender.
Sure.
The foot hits the stick of the goaltender, drawing his stick out. So, but one thing I'll tell you is the referees have a tough job to do. They see things in full speed. They don't have the benefit of video replay unless there's a challenge. So I love when referees actually make a call.
Yep.
What I was so disappointed and angry about in the game against Pittsburgh is that the referees was 10 feet away when Bjugstad went into Jonas Johansson, and he didn't call anything.
Right.
So now you leave it in the hands of a video review challenge type situation, and at that moment, it has to be 100% clear if you want to overturn the call.
Right.
So referees making calls, I love it. Maybe it's the wrong call, but it wasn't wrong enough to be challenged and to be won. That's the thing there. You have to be 100%, and if you challenge, you miss, you get a penalty, 2.5 minutes left. Now, fans on Twitter were all after me saying...
Fans on Twitter?
Well, the people on Twitter were just all over me because they were saying, what do you have to lose? You know, the way the seasons are going. Challenge
no, I get that. I get that.
I'm going to tell you this. You have to play the percentages. You don't want to just hand the win to Washington and say, hey, why don't you have a power play in the last 2 minutes? It's not about what the season has been and where you are. It's about winning this one game. And I don't think Ralph Krueger wins this challenge.
Right.
I think Ralph Krueger knew he wasn't going to win the challenge. So why put your players who are working hard for 58 minutes in a situation to kill a penalty and possibly lose a game?
And
no,
maybe,
you don't do that.
Maybe what impacts a coach, and I think you're 100% on everything you just said, is we all have memories. And when you go back to the Pittsburgh game that you're referencing, Ralph Kruger would have thought 100% he's going to win that challenge. So when that seed of doubt is planted firmly and recently, and Marty, there has not been a moment like this since we've worked together where we looked at each other simultaneously and said, there's no question this goal is coming, like it's coming back.
There's no way. The impact on the goaltender, the referee's there pointing at the goal. I'm listening, I'm watching, I'm like, no, and
watch
tonight,
Skinner here.
Skinner comes in,
he hooks the stick with his skate of Holtby. Was it intentional? No. Did it disrupt Holtby from doing his job?
But it is clearly inside the blue paint, so I can see where the referee is looking at the contact. He sees Holtby down on the ice, and he says, I'm calling this off, I'm waving this off. Now, there's another wrinkle to the rule that is, I believe, unfair, and the timing of the game. Why is a goal in the last minute of the third period more important of a goal with 2.5 minutes left? If this happens in the last minute of the period, the referee waves it off, they go to the bench, the NHL calls down and says there's an automatic challenge, a situation room challenge, and then they're going to look at every angle, and maybe it gets overturned, maybe it doesn't. But because it's not within the 1 minute at the end of the third period and overtime, now it's on the coach staff to challenge this, and if they're wrong, there's a penalty. I'm telling you, when they put that 1 minute rule, I thought it was wrong because a minute is not enough time. So a minute is less important than 59 seconds.
And look, the National Lacrosse League, and we don't draw too many parallels, but the Bandits play here, it's 2 minutes. And if anything, that's more fair. I mean, it does at least a lot.
More fair, but even in that situation,
I get it. But it's like, funny because it's 2 minutes in a game that is far more high scoring than hockey is. So your point is well made. It does. And
you know how you play you know how you play when you're youth, and if you're up by 7 with 10 minutes left, it's automatic, or it's the mercy rule or whatnot. It would be complicated, but you could say, with a goal difference within 5 minutes, it's an automatic challenge. With 2 goals difference within 7 minutes, like you can put a grid together to say how much time do you want to give a team a chance to be able to score and come back in a game. I think a minute is very little time. The game is basically over by that point. And, you know, I understand a tying goal in the last minute when you pull your goalie, but this is more important than a tying goal. It's a game-winning goal that could have gone, you know, the other way.
The other way that I always try to remind myself to look at it is, what if it was your goaltender in this situation?
Yeah, I do that.
And if you're seeing Oshie go through and hook Ullmark's stick right before Ovechkin fires it into the net, you're going to say that it was goalie interference. I mean, that's just the nature of sports, is it not?
Yeah, and with this year, the added emphasis on the goalie interference challenge. Last season, it would have been a missed timeout. So if you challenge it right now and you say goalie interference, we're going to challenge, worst that happens is we're going to lose our timeout. You challenge this 100% of the time. But now that they've made the change, and either the offside or the goalie interference challenge becomes a penalty if you fail on your challenge, now those gray areas with the goalie interference are so difficult to decipher in the moment. An offside is usually black or white. Is it offside? Is it onside? You're able to do it. So the penalty's there. I'm all good for it. But they wanted to cut down on the delay of game where the coaches are like, we're going to challenge just to have a timeout and reset, and maybe we get lucky. So now they changed the forfeiting of a timeout to a penalty, and you don't see as many challenges, which is fine because it speeds up the game and there's not as many delays. But in a situation like this, I think that the reward versus the consequences, it comes into play. And you can't challenge it because you know you're not going to win it and you're going to get a penalty.
Well, the Lexus leader on this night is none other than Linus Ullmark, as he was absolutely sensational in his return to the crease for Buffalo. And when you think about every aspect, and we had extra aspects to evaluate the game tonight because of our friends at the Academy of Hockey showing us different layers, if you will, of his game. What did you notice the most?
I noticed how quiet he was in the net. His positioning was always excellent, and maybe that's the fact that he hasn't played in 5 weeks and has watched a lot of hockey and has worked on his technique and practice, so he wasn't chasing. Even here, he makes a great save at the end of the second period, but he's not sliding outside of the net on the save itself. those saves, that doesn't happen last year when Ullmark was very much sliding outside of the crease, and I thought he was really good. And John Daniel was here, and he had 6, 7, 8 moments in the games that he wrote down things, and that's usually when it's good for the goaltender. Look at that, Selly. Chichi Rodriguez, the putter down, horse stirs into the, all right, the hole.
Well,
that was
Linus,
great.
he's with us, so let's ask him about the celebration. Linus, welcome back and congratulations on the win tonight. That was good video there.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Do you know, Linus, who Chichi Rodriguez is?
No clue.
He's a golfer that every time he made a putt, he used to push the putter down in his hand, just like you did in the celebration right there. So it was great.
And the one thing that we've noticed, and it's impossible not to because visually it's fun to watch, but statistically as well, you've stopped 21 of 25 shootout attempts in your NHL career. I mean, 84% in the shootout discipline is amazing. How and when did you really feel good in these situations? And do you embrace the shootout as much as it appears you do?
Well, I was looking last year a little bit on Haas, how he kind of does things in between the penalty shots. So he stayed calm, didn't focus on what we were doing. So I kind of took that to mind, and whenever we have the penalty shot, I just look down and worry about myself.
You look really calm throughout the whole game tonight, Linus. What are the things that you worked on while you were away to get ready for this game against Washington?
Nothing really, mostly conditioning. That's the first thing that leaves your body when you're injured, because you can't really work out that much. So it's all about staying on top conditioning wise. And I had some great, what should I say, people working with me from the medical team and the physios and everybody around there, so huge props to them.
And obviously we're backing up on Saturday with Hutton starting that game. At what point did you feel, like you were absolutely ready to come back here?
It's kind of hard to say, after these kind of injuries, you don't really know how it's going to go with the first game. So, it's better to get it over with and see how it goes, and luckily it ended well.
Now, I know Ovechkin got one on you, and he scored many in the NHL, but when you see a shooter like him, what are the challenges for you as a goaltender to know that you have to be on top of your game?
Just stay patient on my feet as long as possible and try to read him before he releases it. And yeah, he got me once, and I think he got him like 3 times today. So luckily, I won that challenge.
Yeah.
What did you think of your fellow countryman in his first ever NHL shootout attempt, Rasmus Dahlin?
I have no idea how he scored.
Well, it was a thing of beauty. Linus, you did your job at the other end, and we appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you very much, guys.
There is Linus Ullmark, and that
We
was...
could have explained to him how he scored. He faked the slap shot, and instead, a lot of guys fake the slap shot and grab it to make a move. And Hobie kind of came back up thinking, well, I have more time to be able to reset my feet. And instead, he went stop it and shot it right away. I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there and a lot of players in the NHL that take notice, because it is a bit of a copycat game. When you see one guy do the Michigan, more guys do it. And this shootout move is pretty impressive, in my opinion.
And while Dahlin, is 100% in shootout attempts, Dominik Kahun is building off of something now as well. Game-deciding goal. He's 1 for 2 in his career, allowing Buffalo to win 3-2 here at KeyBank Center tonight. 20th win in front of a home fan. Stay with us.